In today's video, I will be talking about lifestyle porn and how, as social media users, we consume content from influencers that live those seemingly perfect and lavish lives. We often inevitably end up living vicariously through their content and eventually fall into this vicious cycle of comparison and envy. In this context, I am using the word porn, referring to the non-sexual way television programs, magazines, books, etc., or in this case social media content, are regarded as emphasizing sensational aspects of a non-sexual subject and stimulating a compulsive interest in their audience. My husband and I started using the term lifestyle porn a few years ago to refer to this phenomenon of us compulsively scrolling through social media, watching people live their best lives, doing things we envied. I don't think it's a very popular term because when I googled it, all I get is explicit results. But it's basically the same as food porn. Except instead of sharing food pictures that will make you salivate just from seeing them in your feed, it's aspirational and glamorized lifestyle pictures and videos on social media for people to essentially live vicariously through. It sets unrealistic expectations for our lives and can often lead to feelings of inadequacy and disappointment. Upon further research, I did come across one interesting post dating back to 2017 by Mike Thayer that mostly conveys a similar parallel I'm going to draw today, but his post was predominantly focused on Mormon mommy bloggers from Utah. I will be expanding a lot more than this niche, covering lifestyle influencers and beyond. I'm kind of glad my channel isn't monetizable yet because I guarantee it would get demonetized because of the amount of time I will be saying porn today. Actually, I'm sure I'm gonna get age restricted despite not actually talking about pornography, but whatever. Most social media influencers possess something we want to have. They are beautiful and successful, they always seem happy, they have perfect homes, they live in tropical locations, they are traveling to the most amazing places, they are body goals, they are super rich, etc. So we want to look like them, have what they have the money they have, live the lives they live. Essentially, we want to be them, but we can't, not really. So we envy them and live vicariously through their content. Photos, stories, vlogs, etc. I think before the advent of social media, we would have a similar compulsive interest in celebrities' lives, even though they were a lot more elusive. We would be looking at celebrity houses we could never be able to afford in the pages of Architectural Digest, or celebrity outfits during Fashion Week and red carpets. Then we started watching The Real Housewives of Wherever or Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but it has now morphed into watching influencers living their best lives. In a sense, it's almost like we are voyeuristically obsessed with people's lives we don't even know personally. And because influencers are a lot less private than celebrities usually are and show us so much more of their lives, it gives us a constant stream of images to evaluate our lives against. This increasingly pervasive function of social media is affecting our mental health and self-esteem. Even though on the surface level we all acknowledge and say things like, we all know social media is just a highlight reel of people's lives, and everything on social media is curated, edited, and filtered, none of it is real, lifestyle porn still generates compulsive interest in most of us. We can't help but keep looking, and when we look, we always end up feeling worse about our lives. Sadly, it's almost impossible, even with the highest amount of self-awareness, to not compare ourselves to other people online, be it our friends and acquaintances or influencers and celebrities. When we compare our lives to their staged and curated lives on social media, it's easy to see how we could fall down the rabbit hole of envy and get stuck in a comparison trap. Even if most of us are aware that the image projected by anyone online is an illusion to a certain degree, subconsciously or psychologically, we still often have a negative response. Our self-perception is affected, our insecurities are triggered. I think one thing that changed with the advent of content creators and influencers becoming our main source of aspiration is that most of them are basically normal people. They used to be just like us before becoming social media famous. They feel more authentic and more relatable than celebrities ever did in a way. It makes their lives, or at least the lifestyle they present to us, feel more attainable. If they can do it, why can't I? It's only natural that we would all be envious of people making money simply by living their lives. Influencers get to make more money than most of us simply by traveling or vlogging or streaming, essentially appearing to be on a perpetual vacation. The average person can't have a 2-hour morning routine dedicated to meditating, doing yoga, journaling, making matcha lattes, and all of those things. Most of us have responsibilities or have to get to work by a certain time. Additionally, a lot of mommy vloggers and family vloggers actually get to have both parents at home taking care of the kids, when the average family either has to put the kids in daycare or school, or a parent has to stay home and the other parent has to work to provide for the family. I always find it misleading when momfluencers call themselves stay-at-home moms and they have the help of a full-time stay-at-home dad too. Your SAHM morning routine isn't going to look very typical if your husband is home and can share the load with you. Obviously, not all momfluencers have full-time help, but it's still worth remembering. Ultimately, part of the attraction to this kind of lifestyle content is that it represents the life we all wish we could be living, instead of slaving away at our jobs. Vacations, perfect routines, unlimited family time, etc. Aside from striving to reach or emulate influencers' lifestyle porn also provides us with a form of distraction. It allows us to escape our reality and distract us from our problems for brief moments, just like when we watch movies or TV or read a good book. Escapism in fiction is different though, because we are usually aware that the content is fictional for one, and because most fictional content is usually crafted with either a message or moral, or at the very least some kind of intentional entertainment in mind. Social media posts and videos are not often as calculated and intentional, and can therefore have a more harmful impact. As I said before, it can lead to unhealthy comparison and envy, and with the prevalence of social media addiction, these feelings can become a constant, which could lead to more serious issues. I know I said I wasn't going to be talking about pornography, and I'm not going to get explicit, I promise, but there are some interesting parallels that can be drawn between actual porn and lifestyle porn. First, pornography often offers an enhanced and/or distorted version of reality. Most influencer-generated content can operate similarly and present a fabricated lifestyle. And it can actually be completely made up too. A few years ago, there was this trend where a lot of influencers pretended to go on luxurious vacations and trick their audiences into believing their deception under the guise of conducting a social experiment. Caroline's Trick fabricated a whole trip to Disneyland on her Instagram page. Glam by Roxy faked a trip to Bora Bora by recycling pictures she took on a previous trip. Gabby Hanna photoshopped herself at Coachella, and Natalie Taylor faked a Bali trip at IKEA. These specific people did come clean shortly after and always had the intention to reveal their lies. But if that was easy enough for them to fake it, how many influencers are actually getting away with it? Ironically, they were making content based on faking something to make a statement about being fake. Just as porn uses sets, influencers go as far as renting sets to flex a lifestyle they don't even actually live. There are countless stories of influencers renting Airbnbs or luxury mansions to batch photo, or even that infamous private plane set. We've seen some examples of this in HBO's documentary Fake Famous, where writer and director Nick Bilton spent over $12,000 on renting out locations, along with buying follower bots for a group of fake influencers he was trying to artificially make famous as part of an experiment. There's also countless stories of influencers buying things to show them off while keeping the tags on and returning them afterwards. Porn is also heavily curated and often scripted too. It's a performance. Lifestyle porn is clearly very curated, and sometimes can even be scripted as well. As Cam from Cam and Fam pointed out in her video exposing her past as a family vlogger, she admitted that they would be scripting out this super fun day as a family that probably would not have happened if they weren't filming it.
But we were just like scripting out these moments, scripting out this super fun day as a family that at the time probably wouldn't have happened if we weren't gonna film it.
I mean, aside from the actual fictional influencers now posing up on TikTok and straight up CGI influencers that are also coming up these days, Every single influencer has a brand, a narrative they are trying to adhere to, making this whole thing practically scripted. While there is a surface level allure of authenticity in lifestyle content, there is often real behind the scene work that goes into the production of the content, with most larger influencers having managers and teams supporting their work. We have this idea sometimes that influencers operate off of their iPhones out of their bedroom, and that may be true at the very beginning, but eventually most of them end up with a full support crew behind the scenes, similar to the production of pornographic films. Pornography can also often lead to unrealistic expectations of what sex actually is in real life, and that can create self-esteem issues and unhealthy comparison. As we've mentioned previously, unhealthy comparison, feelings of inadequacy, and low self-esteem can also be consequences of frequent lifestyle porn consumption. Lifestyle porn and the influencer economy are intricately tied to an industry that also generates billions of dollars in profit, just like the porn industry. Both can also lead to the needless consumption and financial straining of individuals consuming the content. There can also be a lot of parallels drawn between porn and lifestyle porn in regards to the different genres available of both types of these content, the fetishization of certain situations, and overplayed tropes to drive clicks, like step stuff or the pizza guy versus pretty much any clickbait stuff on YouTube. The dopamine rush of seeing a new pose versus watching a film, and also the fact that they can both be downright addictive. Social media often lead people to present a false or glorified version of who they are. We all do it to a certain extent, but lifestyle influencers are particularly guilty of presenting this seemingly perfect life that appears attainable but in reality isn't even remotely real. Some influencers spend all their money trying to show a certain status through their material possession, also known as flex culture. Some even go into debt to try to emulate the appearance of this social status. I've also seen people hiking with full faces of makeup and dresses or outfit changes to take pictures at the top of the mountain. And don't get me started on all those LA influencers taking pictures in front of painted walls. In fact, there's a whole genre of TikTok dedicated to capturing the behind the scenes of these influencers in the wild, as they call it. There are also many wannabe influencers and major influencers alike who use events like Coachella as content farms to gain relevance on social media and actually don't attend or are unable to enjoy the event because it's purely for business at this point. Like I said, we all do this to different degrees though, unless you are actually completely off social media. What has happened to us in the last decade is that we have all become so obsessed with proving our lives to other people, seeking validation, social approval, and relevance, that we're no longer living our lives for ourselves. Things like, if it's not online, it didn't happen, truly reflect the era most young millennials and Gen Zs live in. How many times have you seen people experiencing a live concert through the screen of their phone because they had to share it on social media? Or a group of friends sitting at a table at a restaurant, taking tons of pictures of the meal and of themselves rather than just being there enjoying the food and the conversation with each other. Documenting the fact that they were there becomes more important than actually experiencing the event itself. There is a desire to get back to something more real and authentic with the rise of photo dumps that are supposed to be less curated carousels of photos on Instagram feeds and Be Real, an app that makes you take an impromptu photo at a random time that you cannot edit or choose, but even those can't be truly authentic. Choosing to participate in the first place still requires a degree of calculation. Same goes if an influencer is having a bad day or sobbing on camera. You can only see it because they want you to see it. It's a curated mess, curated realness. Going back to lifestyle influencers, consuming their content often exacerbates this need for validation of our own lives. We can't help but compare our lives to theirs. And you know, influencers' job is to sell us stuff. They are basically displaying consumption and selling us their lifestyle. This line between genuine advice and recommendation and selling products for the sake of their bottom line may become blurred, but in either case, it leads us wanting to get what they have in hopes it will give us the lives we want. It's as if we lack something or think we don't have enough and we have to buy more to fill the void. Lifestyle influencers tell us what we need in order to fill that emptiness we feel. If you buy what I have, you can have a life like mine. This carefully crafted portrayal of idyllic life will almost inevitably leave the consumer of that content feeling worse off. I do want to make a video in the future where I will dive into the whole idea of flex culture and overconsumption, so I won't touch on it too much today. But there is obviously an inextricable link between lifestyle porn and flex culture, where the main way we find we can try to achieve a lifestyle comparable to the one we see portrayed for us is through buying the things influencers have, the things they sell us, essentially. Because social media has conditioned us to believe that our value is derived from material things and our appearance, we have this sense that we might be able to fill in the void through purchasing more stuff to fill our lives with what we believe will bring meaning to them. In a way, this is a classic case of believing the grass is greener on the other side, but the person on the other side puts a filter on it. We are mistakenly assuming that influencers' lives are real and what they choose to show us is authentic. We think that because of their wealth, beauty, status, and possessions, they must be happy. In reality, they are humans just like the rest of us. Humans we put on a pedestal. Humans we've made out to be these aspirational figures. Ultimately, regularly viewing their curated content affects our own experiences and forces us to evaluate our lives against the portrayal of theirs, often to a damaging extent. So what can we do? First, it would be wise for all of us to try to always keep in mind that there is no such thing as true authenticity online, that everything we see across social media is curated for our eyes. Second, as hard as it may be, we must try to live a little bit more of our lives offline. Live life more for ourselves and less to showcase it to others. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the comments. Thanks for watching.